Anyway, yes. So if you just joined us, welcome to Deadline Day live, coming to you via Redmen TV and the Bib Theorists as well. Dan and Adam have just stepped out. We've got with us Sean Rogers and John Machin. Obviously, Jez, we'll keep talking transfer stuff in a minute, but let's for the vast majority of people who are watching, Liverpool fans, we won yesterday. It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. It was a bit nerve-wracking, wasn't it?
It has. That's sort of the theme of this season so far, isn't it?
In the second half, I was cursing Rodgers and saying, "Why the hell are we playing so? Why are we playing two banks of four? Why are we isolating Coutinho and Sturridge?" And then at the end, it was, "Oh, that's brilliant, that wasn't it? You know,
Tactical
fantastic."
It was two proper banks of four as well. We did play brilliantly.
It was. I mean, sure, we've seen it, haven't we? This has sort of been his approach so far this season, hasn't it? Try and be as compact as possible. Try to not get beat, I suppose. In many. Do you agree with this? You don't look like you agree with any of it.
I'm not sure really, to be honest with you. I think
it's just been a total fluke that we've not gotten beaten 3 times. Is that what you're trying to allude to?
No, not really. I just think in the first half it was a bit strange, really. I mean, obviously I'm a bit nerdy on tactics and stuff, but it was strange that Coutinho was sitting on cleverly. Barini was trying to get back on Carrick. Not really, but he didn't do as good a job as Aspas. Well, sorry, Aspas was trying to get back on.
Is that why we
just seen him take a tape downstairs? Yeah, the medical. And Welbeck was sitting on Gerrard. So it was bizarre, really, in that they were leaving Enrique free and we were leaving Phil Jones free. It was strange. So in terms of two banks of four, we never really had it. And I think in the second half, it was a big problem for us that I think all through the game, but particularly second half, Coutinho and Aspas were poor in the use of the ball, and they just weren't influencing the game. And with Sturridge being as unfit as he was, we just had no way of getting out. But plus the left-hand side of our pitch, the substitution of Valencia was a massive change for United, particularly from the start of the half.
But they had space all day there. Phil Jones had space all game, didn't he? So it looked like a good substitution.
That was a change for Sterling, yeah, and I think that was the right sub to make. I think if Sissoko had been available, they'd have probably brought Sissoko on. Yeah. I think they wanted to move Coutinho inside to shore up the left-hand side a little bit. So I don't really think it was two banks of four. I think we left our left-hand side quite isolated, which is going to happen if Coutinho's on that side.
Do we know that was enforced? Phil Jones, was he actually injured, or was that?
Yeah, he went straight on the tunnel.
I
think he's out of England. Yeah, he's done it.
Shucks.
The worry for me was Aspas looked very weak against the United defenders. He looked like he was a little boy lost, and he wasn't able to hold the ball up or bring people into the play. So. And I wonder, where's Barini? We could have brought him on, with a bit more about him. And of course, where he was on his way to Sunderland.
Well, that's it. We now know, obviously, as you say, welcome to Transfer Deadline Day if you just joined us. We know he's meant to be having a medical at Sunderland, so that does make a little bit more sense now. But at the time, I fully agree. I thought we mentioned this earlier today, I thought we were woefully short on the bench. And Barini, it seemed a bit soft to not have someone like him on there. When you look into Raheem Sterling and Jordan Ibe as your pretty much your only options.
I wouldn't have minded seeing Ibe, to be honest, because he is a big lad, isn't he? He's a lot stronger than Sterling and Aspas.
We've got a lot of fullbacks. We've got a lot of fullbacks on the bench.
Yes, we did yesterday, didn't we? Yeah.
And I think, to be honest with you, I think United played really well. There's been a lot of criticism down. Obviously, the biggest success of yesterday was me not finding out the score. That's the one good thing about Wales, you don't get a signal. So I've managed to get to Colomendy, make a complete
So if you watch him from Wales and you care to offer some slightly more better reasons for Wales,
show me where you can get a signal, I'll drive there and we'll test it. I'm more than happy to do that. Never mind 3G. Show me 1G. Do you know what I mean? You just can't find the signal, but the great thing was it means you can go there and avoid the world, pretty much. Anything Rupert Murdoch, you're not getting in Wales. Yeah. So, I managed to miss it and watch the game back, and I know a lot of the coverage has been Man United didn't play well.
Not from David Moyes, who thought it was the best performance.
There's a danger of being a bit Hodgson after the Goodison game if you're Moyes.
That is exactly my thinking on that. When I heard that quote, I thought, fucking hell, it's for Hodge. Hodge all over again, isn't it? Because we were dreadful. I remember that game at Everton, he called it our best performance this season. We were dreadful.
If you told me we were going to go to Old Trafford, and even just for the second half, completely dominate possession, and have that many corners and that many balls into our box. The amount of times the ball fizzed across our area in the first and second half, where really through luck, rather than anything else, there isn't a tap-in. Do you know what I mean? There was did we have other than Sterling's shot, have we had a decent shot on nose for an hour?
No, not really.
Not really, or a
and then
chance.
you look
No, but what I'm saying is, if you told me Liverpool went to Old Trafford and we're going to play and really not concede too many chances,
we'd be coming away from that probably thinking, okay, we've come close. But the difference is, of course, they're the champions. They should be able to turn up if they want. We are. Let's face it. From the world's view, we're this team that finished 7th in the Premier League. They should be coming and looking to take points off us.
I still think when you look at Coutinho and you look at Sturridge and you look at Henderson, Gerrard and Lucas, we've got more than enough to play a hell of a lot better. And that's the one thing to take out the season so far, is we've dogged 3 results really.
Yeah. So I look at it and think if we click, we're going to steamroller a few teams. I'm quite happy to get these stiggy 1-0s.
I don't know, no one's more delighted than me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was important. We've basically, though, like I say, we've not been 3 great performances at all, really. I mean, I think Stoke was all right for the first half.
Yeah, you can't.
We've got 9 points on the board.
Yeah, you can't beat getting a good start to your season. We saw it last season when we had 1 point, didn't we, after the first 5 games or something ridiculous. And I think someone tweeted yesterday it was something like October the 18th before we had 9 points last year. And here we are, like 1st of September, and we got 9 points in the bag. It's great, isn't it?
I think Sacco and Laurie are in the main stand thinking we're going to be busy boys here.
Just getting the last bit of rest and relaxation in before it all goes mental. Yeah.
At the end of the day, United did get up into our box an awful lot, but without ever looking like they were going to score. Apart from that one shot from Nani, which was a great save.
Shitting myself when Van Persie had that overhead kick in the box, and you think, I turned around to the lad next to me and was like, he's not going to miss many of them.
Well, he had a chance later on, didn't he? But one well wide.
I think you've just got to try and, for me anyway, you have to be a little bit more neutral in your analysis of the match. And Van Persie puts that away. Are people saying that's a bad United performance? I don't think it is. At the end of the day, we've dogged it fantastic. Look, there's no better way than beating United than playing shit and beating United. That's it. Love that. The only other better thing is if we just scored a handball or something like that for the winner.
Yeah, in the last minute.
That would have been perfect.
Well, I was on doing some collaboration work with Full Time Devils, the United channel this week, and I had to downplay it big time because you don't want to say it. It's too important, those games, for you to be like bold about it, really. You know what I mean? Sad as it is to say, but I just had this feeling deep down that I thought it was our time to get something here, like, you know what I mean? Because it goes back to the Hodge connection. I just think Moyes and him being at Man United feels so much like it feels so much like Roy Hodgson.
The Giggs substitution was mental. The Giggs substitution was mental. It was causing us so many problems, and he just slipped through a lovely through ball just beforehand as well. And Valencia bombing on the right and him playing in between the lines was causing us a lot. When Nani comes on, you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Very.
You're fearing the Hernandez sub, aren't you? You're fearing the Hernandez sub. And to be fair, he's the one who slipped Van Persie in. Ferguson would have had him on at the break.
Yeah. Well, it looks like
the difference between a top-class manager, though, isn't it? They're not afraid to make decisions at half-time.
Yeah. No, it's true, but it looked like pure panic. It looked again. It was like Steve McLaren in the UEFA Cup. Just like, what am I going to do? Let's get all of our attacking players on the pitch and hope that something happens. But I've had that feeling from Moyes. He looks to me, and I said this to Chris, I think the reason Giggs is playing, I mean, he's a fantastic player. Let's be perfectly honest about it. But I think the reason he's given him a coaching contract, and the reason he's got Neville in, he's trying to carry as much Ferguson momentum into this season as he possibly can. And Giggs on the pitch is one of the people who knows it's ingrained in him. It's all he's ever known is Ferguson's way of it being Manchester United. But when it comes to a situation when something needs to change, you can't replace having Alex Ferguson on the touchline preparing to bollock people and what have you, and having it is set up and his plans for it. So I think it looks worrying for me.
I always like it when a manager gets a new job and he goes from tracksuit to suit. He was tracky at Everton, won it. You know what I mean? Apart from maybe he came to Anfield and wanted to look like he was a student of the game, so I'm going in a suit now. But he was normally tracky, wasn't he? He was like, I'm a coach, and now at Man United, he's all new statesman, isn't he?
I like to see. You're right. I like him. I just like the fact that it won't have swept over the whole Man United nation, but it will have begun. The little seeds of doubt. The thing is that they're going to spin it so well that the vast majority of them won't see it. And this is, like I say, it sounds really horrifically bitter, and maybe it is, and I'm happy to be to a certain extent. But we don't want them to be shit overnight. We want it to be a long, slow, drawn-out process of just a slipping slide into mediocrity. And sad to say, like what's happened to us to a certain extent. Like, you know, I'd like to see that happen to them very much. And I think Moyes is definitely the right step.
I reckon he's delighted with their start of the season. Honestly, I think if you'd have offered him 4 points from them 3 games, he'd have taken it because he's not getting that much grief, is he? No. I think he was probably fair in 1, let alone 4.
Yeah. Well, that's it. But the beauty is he's got going for him. He's got that's the Robin van Persie thing, isn't it? You know, because he's got very good players at his disposal. Again, it goes back to Roy Hodgson and it goes back to Roy Hodgson for England as well. You know, he's a disciplined manager. He likes to he knows how to teach teams to defend. But when you've got good players, you can sort of go, go ahead, so you just go up the other end and score.
That's why I've said all year so far, I think Ferdinand and Vidic is their biggest key to this season. If one of them gets injured, they lose the spine of their team. And that's going to make a huge
Ferdinand looked terrific yesterday. He was the coolest man on the pitch, wasn't he? Every time the ball came near him, very controlled, calm.
I thought he was past it 3 years ago, and he looked mercurial in that game. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it was. I watched Match Today, despite the fact that it was Michael Owen and Robbie Savage, which was like pulling fucking teeth, isn't it?
So they're not coming on this show anytime soon.
Never.
We might have Robbie Savage on at some point. Not today. We've got a blonde wig in the back, and we've got Matt's Leicester City shirt as well from the. What year is it from, Matt?
96, huh?
96 Leicester shirt. Yeah, stay tuned on Redmen TV.
Good old days, Matty Elliott.
But anyway, I think Owen described Ferdinand as one of the greatest defenders ever to play the game, or something like that.
He also said the same about Giggs.
Matty Elliott.
Matt Elliott, he was, what a player. But no, and you can see from that, I've been very critical of Ferdinand at times throughout his career because he just looked like a div. And I mean literally on the pitch, how many times you just saw him switch off? Seemed to be so, he was thinking about his next.
I remember Michael Owen shoulder charged him off the ball and running past him and scoring at Anfield.
Well, that's it. But no, I thought he was excellent. But the thing is, I mean, Sean, for you, that Man United team, do they need to strengthen that? Because they just didn't look anything special to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think you assume that they think there's obviously mileage in Phil Jones at centre back, obviously. They're obviously looking at Baines and Fellaini. I don't get the Fellaini sign at all. Fellaini's at his best. Maybe you could argue as a holding midfield player, but really he's been at his best at Everton when they played him off the striker and they just played long and very direct and he's bullied teams. I think that when they beat Man United last year at Goodison's probably been one of his best displays, and it was just an area of bombardment, and he's destroyed Carrick at centre half, hasn't he?
He's done that a couple of times at United though, Fellaini, hasn't he?
You don't go from Iago Alcantara to Cesc Fabregas to Fellaini, do you know what I mean? And that's what he's done with his what looks like he's done with his summer transfer sort of plan A, B and C. I don't think there's much of a fear factor with United. My fear factor is they're normally so good in both penalty areas. You normally bank on Van Persie in one box and Ferdinand and Vidic in the other. And the funny thing yesterday was Van Persie and Ferdinand have let them down a bit in both boxes. As you say, Van Persie's had 2 great chances and Ferdinand switched off at the corner.
I thought
in the middle of the park, there's just no fear from them. I mean, would you take Carrick and Cleverley over Gerrard and Lucas? Probably
Carrick's
not.
a much better player than I thought he was. I think he's a fantastic midfielder actually. But I wouldn't take him over Gerrard or Lucas. And
you look, Coutinho, he'd walk into their team. There's obviously no danger there. Henderson, would he be in and about? You'd probably say so. I think, certainly in my view. So I think, there's not that much fear there. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just they switched off in both penalty areas yesterday.
Yeah.
In the middle of the park, they need a massive strengthening.
I think we played Van Persie very well. And what I said is, if that first half had gone on for another couple of minutes longer, he'd have been off. I think we had him totally wound up to perfection.
Yeah, Skrtel and Iago both had really good games, didn't they?
I think that's definitely worth noting. I think Martin Skrtel, I think there were a lot of people messaging me going, where did that performance come from? And it's like, well, look, I think we've been a little disrespectful to Martin Skrtel at times. I mean, look, we know he's a potential liability at times, and he has made mistakes, but the argument we've had from the people who supported him for the last year and a bit is he was Liverpool's Player of the Year the season before. You know what I mean? So he's not shit. So it's not like you're pulling someone. It's not. It's not like when we had...
It was always the system for me with Rodgers, and Skrtel didn't suit it, whereas I always thought Skrtel was a good centre-back in a Rafa Benitez system.
Yeah.
Because he's got the players around him playing the right way. I think it was something, Sean, you mentioned last year, in fact, about him and Iago being left alone a lot because the fullbacks are so far up the pitch, and he's not a good centre-back in that type of a system.
Yeah, and Lucas wasn't around last season either, was he?
Lucas, yeah.
I think, I mean, to be fair to Skrtel, I think he's also a little bit of a kind of season in, season out kind of character. Since he signed us, there hasn't quite been that full model of consistency. I mean, I know I'm going to get proper trolled for this, but I think Iago didn't have a great game yesterday. I think he's got away with a few bits and pieces.
Right, basically,
he says this every time.
Sean comes on here, just comes at the show to bash Danny Iago. Like, I don't know. I think actually,
I like him. You know, as a footballer, he's a top footballer. I just looking at his performance yesterday and watching it back again. He tried to nip in front of Van Persie, and he's ended up in the paddock.
Is that when Enrique has to track back?
Yeah, he's lost Welbeck on a ball coming in, I think from Young, and he's got lucky in the Welbeck's gone underneath the ball. Otherwise, he's got to tackle him from 6 yards out. And then second half, there's been a really terrible header, and we know this is his weakness aerially. But he's in his own box, just outside the 6 yard box. He's nodded it down to Ashley Young on the edge of the box. You can head that anywhere but there. And it's Glenn Johnson making the block. I think Mignolet probably would have had it, but what I mean is there's enough instances in that game where the weaknesses of Iago, in terms of his aerial lack of dominance and maybe a bit of rush to the head, maybe a bit of poor marking, where in general terms, fairly nice and solid, but at key moments, I just think he goes wanting a bit. I thought Skrtel was impeccable.
He did call Van Persie a racist to get his back up, apparently, didn't he? So fair play there, Danny.
What?
A rapist, he called him, apparently. That's what I was told before. Who told me that?
Allegedly, Chris.
Allegedly.
It was supposed to be the lip readers have been tweeting what they saw being said.
So Gerard definitely called him a wanker, which I think is a prick.
A prick.
Because he asked him, they called him a prick.
Van Persie asked him where his league medal was, and Gerard said at least he didn't have to leave a club, blah, blah, blah. Where's your Champions League medal?
Yeah.
Prick.
and then about a minute later just walked into him and gives him a good barge.
But you know what, I've not seen Gerard do that, because it was obvious that he was having a go at him and he was just trying to wind him up, wasn't he? And that's a captain's performance for me.
Yeah.
Gerard doesn't do enough of that, and that, I enjoyed that. Happy with that,
Yeah, defo. Okay, Sean, who was the stand-up performance for Liverpool for you?
I thought Martin Skrtel was exceptional. I think apart from one very tiny tactical error, I thought Glenn Johnson was absolutely spot on too.
Yeah.
I thought Henderson and Gerrard and Lucas did really well in the way they had to deal with things. I thought Mignolet was really tidy. You can't have too many complaints there, but Sturridge did really well considering his fitness problems. I was a bit worried. I thought Enrique had a bit of a poor game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Second half, he gave away a couple of bad balls just after half time, which put us right in the shit.
Yeah.
And I think Coutinho tactically caused, whether it's Coutinho tactically or
if you had to pick a man of the match, then who would you pick?
Skrtel all day long.
Skrtel, John?
I think probably Skrtel, and Johnson was pretty spot on as well.
Yeah, I thought Johnson. You didn't like Johnson yesterday, did you?
No, to be honest, I mean, again, you've put it out last week, Sean. I don't know. That defensively, there was the great block, great block challenge. I thought was absolutely fantastic. Just in an attacking sense, I just don't know what he's offering at the minute. He's supposed to be this world class attacking wing back essentially, and I'm not seeing it from him at all. But as long as he's doing his job defensively, at the minute the way we're playing, that's fine, because you don't want to. What I don't want to see is Liverpool trying to hold on to leads, and you've got Glenn Johnson fucking things up basically, and then and if it's all going to fall down on him, because that's everybody who doesn't really watch Glenn Johnson's chief criticism of him, that he can't defend, and I think it's been pretty debunked.
He was taken off at one point and the ball got crossed in, and Andre Wisdom was playing right back, wasn't he? And I'm shitting myself thinking it's Johnson at the back post there, and then he goes up and heads it, and Wisdom gets it away. I'm so glad
there was
that
one
wasn't
later
Johnson.
When Wisdom didn't just get under it, he was about 10 yards too pushed in than he should have been, But I thought Johnson did really well. It's just bizarre how, especially with Henderson there, he doesn't go on the outside.
Yeah.
He always comes on the inside, doesn't he? And it's very rare you see one touch.
Innuendo. We'll have a hashtag innuendo bingo going for this, like, one. Yeah. So.
But it's rare you can see him just get a touch and put a cross in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was a difficult game for Wisdom to come on the pitch as late as he did, and you know he sort of got to his task really well. I thought when he came on.
Yeah, fair play. You know. It was I actually really agree with that. I was a little bit worried because he's not been great the last couple of games. He started pre-season magnificently, I thought, and obviously had the mistake against Celtic, wasn't it? And then early on in the season.
You're looking. Was it the last game where he came on at centre back and then he was moved over to right back, wasn't he? And he didn't adapt very well then.
And he still needs to finish learning, doesn't he? He's still.
They're talking about him going on loan, aren't they?
Apparently that's been poo-pooed. Yeah, Glenn Johnson.
I think that might have been
his injury.
Excellent use of the expression poo-pooed. Not like poo-pooed. Poo-pooed.
There's obviously massive confidence in Martin Kelly and John Flanagan then because Rodgers was on record when he's saying he sees him as a centre back, which I can understand why he'd say that, but you think he'd maybe want him on loan, having a season as centre back.
Yeah,
I loved something Chris has pointed out. What a leader he is. You know what I mean? No matter, he looks like one of those players that even if he fucks something up, he wouldn't let his head down. He'd just pick up and he'd carry on instructing, because there was a point where he comes on at right back. You're talking about a team that's already got the captain and vice captain on the pitch, plus a whole host of other players who can basically do this for him. Jordan Henderson as well, under 21 captain, and he's bollocking Raheem Sterling over the far side and telling him to tuck in and do whatever. And I love that. I mean, Chris has now got a season ticket, the row behind the dugout, haven't you? So you're privy to all this, but you've seen it yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, he literally turned around to Sterling and I 2 weeks ago and told him to stand up, because we were all singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" and they weren't stood up. Now he's on the bench, he's got nothing to do with the game. That is a leader, that's someone who wants to be seen and to have a great career at the club for me. And I just thought that was outstanding.
Yeah, no.
Well, he's got half decent game intelligence. I mean, as soon as he got the ball in the second half and near the end, he's sprinted into the corner with it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And confident enough to do it. Even a couple of little rollovers with his sole of his foot. And he's trying to keep the ball in the corner for us straight away. I think he's fairly switched on. I think Liverpool have obviously earmarked him as potentially a good prospect. It looks like he's been fast-tracked ahead of a couple of others, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Okay, obviously this is Deadline Day Live. If you want to get interact with us on Twitter, you can use hashtag RMTBT Live. It's taking me ages to learn that. Obviously you can also tweet me directly at the Redmen TV. Some of them come through to my phone, otherwise we've got Jack in Update Corner, keeping us abreast of all the transfer goings on. What's going on?
Breaking news: Juan Mata spotted on the train from London to Liverpool. It's defo Photoshop. That is. I'll retweet that for everyone.
Outstanding. Yeah, get out again. Follow Chris at Mr. Blood Red as well. Okay, yeah. Just going back to the game. Then we before you came on, gents, we were waxing lyrical about Jordan Henderson. I just love him. I thought yesterday was another example of he just has something that no one else in our team's got. In the drive and the determination, and actually, pace as well. That kind of engine. We haven't. He's like Dirk Out with pace.
I thought he got better and better as the game went on. Really, I do think he starts games quite slowly and sort of it doesn't impose himself enough early on. I think, but certainly yesterday got better and better.
I thought he was excellent against Notts County actually when he came on. I mean, obviously you're talking about lower league opposition, but he strode onto that pitch and just controlled the midfield. But there's that point, Sean, where obviously we're under the cosh, and the ball comes out. Does he win? Does he actually win the ball? Does he play a 1-2 and then he just bursts down the field with it? And it's great to have that kind of player in your armoury to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely. I think the good thing about the Notts County game was, we've seen it before with Stevie when it might be Napoli or Newcastle at home or someone, and he comes off the bench and just when you need him, it looks like a man playing against boys. It's kind of like, I am the senior professional on this team, and Henderson's come on against Notts County and he's looked class, hasn't he? And I mean, the goal was absolutely, that is a Steven Gerrard-esque goal, isn't it? I think obviously seeing him centrally will suit him far greater, and I think the shape of our side, especially against the majority of the teams we face, will have a bit better balance if he's more central, and you've maybe got, whether it's like sort of Moses or whoever on the flanks, Sterling, Coutinho, whoever. I think in the centres where you'll see his best work. I don't think you're going to see the numbers from him in terms of assists and goals if you see him as one of the three in behind Sturridge or Suarez, whoever it might be. But in terms of his all-round performance, he's been one of our key men, hasn't he, in the first 3 games? And I think the Notts County game shows that I think he feels he's a Liverpool footballer.
Yeah.
Now, a year ago today, he was a make-weight in a Dempsey deal.
Yeah.
Well,
it's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely astonishing when you actually think back that
Throughout pre-season, it looked like Alan was going to get the nod, didn't it? Yeah. And then when Henderson came on as a sub and scored a goal, he went crazy. Like he thought, well, right, get in there. That's what I can do. Yeah. And I was really impressed with that. And it was not a particularly really important goal, but he was just thrilled to score, get on the pitch and show what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. Go on, Jack, what's going on?
News of an Anfield departure from the player himself. Daniel Pacheco has just tweeted that he's proud to announce he's joining AD Alcocon, which I think's been touted throughout the summer actually. Joined them on a permanent deal and wants to say a massive thanks to LFC for the last 6 years.
Excellent, there you go. So finally, that's the end of Danny Pacheco. What a sad
Missed
day.
the pre-season.
Missed the pre-season. I mean, Danny Pacheco going. It had to happen eventually, didn't it? He's clearly
it's more or less happened 2 years ago, didn't it? We've hardly seen him since.
And the rest, like, I don't know what it is though. I mean, I go back to last season. I mean, I remember we went over to the States tour at the start of the season. He obviously got a few games and he looked really good. And we were all saying, this will be it. Rodgers wants to play like the Barcelona system. He's from the Barcelona academy. He knows how to do it. He looked good coming in from the left-hand side. And then, that game was the League Cup, wasn't it, against West Brom, I think, and he was outstanding, and then that was it. What you thinking on Pacheco? Is it just that he is just not good enough? Does he flatter to deceive, or is there something more to it? Like?
I think it's the same with Suso, really, in that.
Oh, hang on, yeah, sorry, anybody, go on,
they're both in the same camp, I suppose, and I think Pacheco's possibly a better player than Suso. I remember seeing one of Pacheco's first ever training sessions. I actually think he was down at the academy to start with, and it shows you the gulf and how hard it is to come through the system to be a Premier League player nowadays at a club like Liverpool, because Pacheco was a million miles above every other Liverpool academy player on that pitch. And even in the training session, it was ridiculous how far above the standard he was. If you thought anyone was nailed on to make it at Liverpool, because of the excellence of him, you'd have thought he was in. If you look at the group he was in, well, are they even playing football? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the problem with the rise. Is as he comes into Liverpool and you're looking for a spot on the team, he can't play centre mid, he can't play up front, so he's going to play in one of them 3 positions behind the striker, and you're looking at numbers. Do you know what I mean? And if you're going to play in one of them 3 roles, can you get 10, 15 assists? Can you score at least 10 goals? And never in a million years is he going to do that.
Yeah.
And the same with Sousa. And you can get lots of pretty players who are good on the ball, they're quite silky, but certainly in England, you can't put him in centre mid. You can't put that type of player up front. And I think there's a bit of this with Oscar at Chelsea. Oscar's a far better player than Suso and Pacheco, but are you going to get the same numbers out of him that you get out of Juan Mata? I don't think you do.
No. I think the fact of the matter is if he was going to be a world beater, Pacheco, he'd have done it in any one of his myriad loans.
He did look the business playing for the under 18s or under 19s, whatever, and he did for Spain as well. He'd score goals for them coming in from the left, but he just lacked pace. Yeah. And in the modern game, and he wasn't as like. I know Barcelona prove you don't need to be a giant to play top class football, but he wasn't very big and strong, and he wasn't very fast. He was good on the ball, but that's just not enough, obviously, these days.
Yeah, dead right. I mean, if you've not got the strength and the pace, you have to be exceptional and get the numbers. Yeah. And that's the point. Gareth Bale, isn't it? When he was coming through, his pace, his strength, his size, massive attributes, especially for England, isn't it?
It's where you can see though, can't you, with clubs, if you can't have the cream of the crop, because the cream of the crop have got it all, haven't they? They've got pace, power, and they've got incredible technical ability. Whereas unless you're multi-millionaires and you're in the Champions League year in year out, you sort of have to go one or the other, don't you? Which is why a lot of lower, like the Wigans of this world used to pack themselves up with athletes, didn't they? You know what I mean? Whereas that, and then you get other clubs who want to try a bit of football. You'll end up with really technically gifted players who can't run to save their lives. So he definitely falls into the Pacheco particularly falls into
We've had
the
a
latter
few
third.
good players that fall into that kind of category, and they are good players. But Gerard Bruno, we signed, very highly rated from Real Madrid. Even Latala, to a certain extent, is that kind
Sebastian
of player.
Leto was one of them as well.
A
Wasn't
really tidy ball player, but when it comes down to it, not good enough and never going to get you the numbers that you need to play in one of them key positions at a big club.
Yeah, okay. Obviously, Liverpool have made vast number of signings this summer. If you're just joining us on deadline day live, so far today we've officially announced Sacco,
Moses.
Yeah, not bad. What do you reckon? To them, Dad? Moses seems a decent move on loan.
Well, you got rid of Downing, so you need someone who can play wide, and we haven't got anyone at the club, so that's a good signing. He's got a bit of pace and he can score.
Yeah.
So that's a good signing. We clearly needed centre-back cover, particularly once Coates was injured and Scale clearly wasn't going to get a game. So you were desperate for a good centre-back, which I think we've signed. I think Laurie is going to be for the future, isn't he? But Sacco, he looks the business. So
yeah, have you seen him?
He's left-sided though, so I do wonder.
Sacco, am I right in saying that? Laurie's right-footed.
He can play anywhere across the back four.
But Sacco can play left-back as well, so that again will put pressure on Enrique, which can't do any harm at all.
No.
He does need a rocket under him, doesn't he?
He's played well last couple.
Well, I got the second. Yeah, Enrique had got what I thought was an unfair amount of criticism. I'm not saying he's the ways a world beater, but we basically had 3 years 2 weeks ago. And he's been very good.
Yeah, the last 2 games he's been brilliant.
The trouble is, he can be very good, and he can also be awful.
Because Sissoko same game, he watches.
He watches.
Yeah,
he still can't turn right though.
He is Derek Zoolander. Yeah, he can only turn one way. But I love that. It's one of my favourite things about Enrique is that you know exactly what he's going to do, but he just does. He rolls in stages around people and then comes out with the ball into clear space.
You know what's funny about him? He does it in the car as well. He doesn't turn right. He just goes left, and left again, and then straight on.
He's a big fan of Liverpool's one-way system. I think, that's clearly a big advocate.
He loves the Dale Street, North John Street.
Loves it like there every night.
Round.
And he always gets back home as well by just going around like
that. No, yeah. So, Sean, what's your take on that? I mean, Sacco looks like he is what we've talked about, this commanding centre-half that we've been missing.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a top sign. I don't know much about him. I read a good review of him the other day, which was saying kind of ignore this left-back kind of stuff. He's probably played there 6 times in 7 years or something, so to kind of ignore that to a certain extent. And certainly it seemed to be that he's a bit of a hero at PSG, and they feel that he was going to be a long-term captain for them. Obviously the money they've spent means other people have come in, and they feel that maybe him being the local hero there has put a ceiling on him in terms of where he could get to. But they certainly felt that he'd be a future captain of France, and a big part of him moving is Deschamps saying, I need you for the World Cup, but you're not going to be in if you're not playing regularly.
Well, this sort of sits in with Rodgers, and he wants hungry players. Yeah. You look at Coutinho, a hungry player. Sacco wants to play in the World Cup. He's 196 times did he play for PSG? 6 goals, I think, something around that figure anyway. So he's played a lot of football, and he's obviously wants to go out there and prove himself now, and prove himself at a big club in the Premier League. Something that he looks like he's got
it's the World Cup year factor as well, isn't it? Everyone wants to be playing, so they get into the World Cup.
I mean, the report on him seems, would suggest we should be quite excited about him. Yeah. And it did look like this could be a really good talent that we've signed.
And as Ian pointed out, that he's one of our marquee signings as well.
He's one of our marquee signings.
One of our marquee signings. Marquee signings. How much did we pay for him?
Do you reckon 14 million was it? Something like that I heard before? 15 million and 10 million for Elori, but that was euros.
Like 7.8 odds, is that like?
Eventually where he leaves Skirtle, he's gone and put in a great performance yesterday. You don't pay that kind of money, certainly in terms of Saka. Yeah. Without him, you assume that he will have had some assurances in terms of at least initial playing time based on form, but you'd imagine, and Kolo Touré's start to the season, it's interesting, Agger and Skirtle yesterday, and then you got Touré and Saka. In a way, Touré and Saka could be a really exciting combination together.
Sorry, I've just had a tweet from Martin Rosker saying Ferdinand Mercurial, his slowness at the corner gave away the winning goal, and Sterling skinned him. All right, Mercurial, like like a nice, like a good statue. I don't know. All right, fair play.
And on that, they've moved Shankly.
They've moved, yeah. They've seen that. They behind the clock. They've moved the Shankly statue
Where to?
about
5 yards.
about 3 feet to the left, and squared it off against the wall.
So they're getting better access to the shop or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Paul,
Still mad,
Paul
like.
Llewellyn, initially that like.
That's why we couldn't get a marquee signing now, because we paid fucking...
We're like Andy
loads for
fell
that.
through, like, what we're going to do with our time. We've got 20 minutes, we'll just move that a couple of yards. Let's crack on. Can't sit here twiddling our thumbs, boys. Can I ask a question? What's this one matter stuff? Because I've been stopped by this very nice lad downstairs, Tom.
Apparently it's nothing,
And
but...
he says Radio Master are reporting something, but it's obviously it's nowhere else.
Yeah, Ben Smith from the BBC has
It's
since
all over
told
Twitter
us.
that we've made a bid, but BBC said we haven't.
Ben Smith's saying no.
Ben Smith saying it's bullshit.
Any more
like,
updates on that? Any more people saying
On
it's
matter,
dead?
Ben Smith continues to rubbish the story, and there's speculation that Mourinho doesn't want to let him go to a Premier League rival, if you like.
Thanks, Jose.
And that he would prefer to, the suggestions that they're in talks with PSG.
Yeah, that was the most recent one, was it? Was it PSG?
We've also just
PSG
had a
coming?
question in asking if Sean can make some comments on how he sees a partnership developing between Sacco and Aga. And did you tweet out the article about Sacco?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It's just full interactivity here.
Full on interactivity. It's costing us a fortune to do it, like you mean, but it's totally worth it. I'm not sure it'll be Aga and Sacco at all. Sacco, if he's left-footed, well, you wouldn't want 2 left-footed centre halves. I'd suggest that that's going to be the rocket up Danny Aga's arse that we're hoping for, as previously mentioned. Colo Torre, because could you? We'll have to see what Sacco turns out to be like on the pitch. I've not seen enough of him, but
Yeah.
I'd want Colo Torre in there at the minute.
I mean, now we've sealed them deals, you've got to wonder why would they keep Skirtle if they're not going to play him?
Yeah.
Unless they just want 4 top-class centre-backs. You know.
I think that's the shout there. And do you know what? I think Colo Torre would be just as influential on the bench. I know that sounds stupid, like, but he's one of those people, isn't he? He's a big personality. He'll still be going at players and passing his experiences on.
He'll be knee sliding down the touchline before you know it. Like,
Yeah, he did in his suit yesterday. Like, you should have seen him before the game. He spent like 15 minutes signing autographs for the fans before the game and stuff. Like, he just loves it. Like, I tell you who else loves it? Aspas. Seriously, celebrates like a fan. He's up there, yes, with about 2 minutes ago when we're clearing the ball. I'm screaming behind him, and he's screaming louder than me. He's really sort of got into it.
Full of nervous energy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He was buzzing around. Yes, I thought to myself, it's an accident waiting to happen.
I thought he was going to get sent off. He looked like...
No, he did.
It was that... you know when you do something in footy and it comes off, and then it's like a stuck record. That's all you can do then for the next like 5 things you do. And he did a sliding tackle and got a toe on it, didn't he? And then the next 3 things he did was exactly the same thing, and each one of them became increasingly reckless and likely to hurt
And it
someone.
ended in the penalty box, didn't it?
Yeah, I think us winning the game means he didn't fall into scapegoat territory yesterday, and I think it's kind of buyed him some time. But I think the question is going to be: is this a settling in thing, or is that he is going to burn a few head outs this year? Let's face facts, isn't it? And on that question, by the way, isn't it weird how you can get a lot of right-sided players go to left back and left-sided centre back? You don't often see too many lefties play right-sided centre back or right back. Well, I mean, I know Nastasic and Lescott at City, 2 lefties really. They didn't look too hot at the weekend, and it seemed that the right centre back berth there looked a bit of a problem. So I think Sacco and Aga, maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't know enough about Sacco to be honest to comment on that. I would probably be excited more by Sacco and Skirtle, Sacco and Torre.
It's actually great, but at Hawkey08 on the Twitter asked the same question: what's wrong with 2 left-footed centre-backs? There are plenty of right-footed partnerships. The thing with me about 2, I mean, as a lefty, speaking for my people, I want to see as many of us in there as possible. Like, but it fills me with this like cold dread from the Evans era when we had nothing but left-footed centre backs.
Oh, it was horrendous, wasn't it?
3 at the back, all left-footed, all the time, always. So yeah.
Ruddock, Dix.
Well, but Dix was the left back.
Oh, Matteo.
Yeah.
Bab.
Harkness to come in.
John Scales.
We've got a question from Nathan Corrier for John. Can you discuss quickly what type of player Aspas is? Seen him play, he looks like a headless chicken. What's he doing at Anfield?
To be honest, up to now, I don't know. He's clearly scored goals in Spain for 1 year. In fact, not even in the top league. Was he? Was in the?
Well, he was in Premier Division last year. Wasn't he?
I don't know. He probably knows where the goal is if he gets a chance in the box. But yesterday,
goals in pre-season.
Yesterday he looked lightweight. He looked as though he'd come up against men and he was bouncing off their central defenders and not really getting very far.
I think is it perhaps a case of you get what you pay for, don't you? We've paid £7.7 million for him or whatever. I think the problem he's got is that he's taken the number 9 shirt.
Rodgers
if
clearly
he was on number
fancies
18 or something, or 20 odd, no one would bat an eyelid.
Rodgers clearly fancies him because he's letting Barini go out on loan, and he wouldn't do that if he didn't fancy Aspas.
There's times in that game yesterday where he could have scored goals and Sturridge hasn't looked up for him, and I think that's happened in every game this season, to be honest with you. And if he'd have got a couple of goals early on in his career and Sturridge had looked up, then we wouldn't be having this conversation now.
I do think he is a goal scorer, but in a game like yesterday, you know, his contribution wasn't good enough for what we needed.
Well, he has had the option of playing. He could have played Sterling on the left in these games and played Coutinho central if he'd have wanted to. And I think in the Celtic game, Aspas played up front and was just way off it, playing as the main man. So they've dropped him back into the hole, haven't they? I probably see him as a replacement for Bellamy and Maxi. And he might just be a bit of a flat track bully for us in that, you know, against some of the weaker sides at home, he might be able with his movement and with a lot of ball around the box. He's got a few little tricks and flicks, hasn't he? And he might just be able to poach a few goals for us.
You wouldn't see him getting in the side once Suarez is back. No. He's going to be on the bench, isn't he? And therefore, he might be a nice option to come on later on. Like, we didn't have anyone yesterday really to bring on, did we?
No,
you would think it's going to be what? Coutinho, Moses, Suarez, Sturridge as your 4, you would guess.
Yeah.
It's frightening that actually. It sounds great, doesn't it? It sounds absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Just got a great picture here that I've just retweeted. Breaking news, Mesut Ozil fails medical at Arsenal. Ozil's been affected by asthma because of the dust from Arsenal's trophy room, apparently.